Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome everybody to the session this morning. We have our presenter, Todd Hassler from RetireReady New Jersey, who's going to share with us the path to secure a retirement. We hope you enjoy it. Again, we ask everyone to please mute yourselves. And if you have any questions, please place them in the chat box. This session will be recorded and we will share it with everyone by this afternoon. Todd, good morning and thank you.
Good morning. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day and enjoying the beautiful weather. I do want to start off by apologizing. As you may hear, I'm challenged by the allergies that come along with the weather, so please excuse me. If I need to repeat something, please don't hesitate to ask throughout. I'm going to go right into our presentation here today. I would like to start off with an introduction. First off, thank you all for taking time to attend today to learn about RetireReady New Jersey. We are a advent of the Secure Choice Savings Program Act of 2019.
Sorry, Mr. I don't know if you want to...
Pardon me? Give you a little background on myself. My name's Todd Hassler. I'm the Executive Director of the Secure Choice Program, RetireReady. I joined the state of New Jersey back in January of 2023 to implement the program and bring it to fruition for the citizens in New Jersey. I actually come from the federal government, where I was a senior investigator for the Employee Benefits Securities Administration. I also spent a substantial portion of my career working, designing and implementing and managing and serving as a fiduciary for retirement programs. So if you have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. With that in mind, we do have a little housekeeping that I like to begin with. If you have questions, I find that these presentations are much more enjoyable if they're interactive. As we work through the material, if you would have a question, you can raise your hand. We'll try to answer as many as we can along the way. And then we'll save some time for Q&As at the end. If we can't answer all of them, what we will do is we'll circle back and try to take them away and respond back to your questions on the after the presentation today. A little background on RetireReady. As we're moving forward here, we are a state-sponsored auto IRA program. We were enacted in 2019, and we are in the process of being implemented. We're covering employers that have 25, or employees who have 25, who work for employers with 25 or more employees who do business in the state of New Jersey and do not have a private pension program. So if that sounds like your organization, then there's going to be a lot of good information in today's agenda. For today's agenda, I promise this is not going to be a collegiate course, but we are going to cover a little bit about the history of retirement, some of the realities of the existing landscape, our mission, some key takeaways for the employer community, requirements, some of the benefits that you'll be appreciating, and an action check sheet, something that you'll need to be thinking about over the next coming month. So as we move forward here, the history of retirement, and I'm going to go over this briefly, but I think it's important to lead off with where we were or where we came from to understand where we are. Private pension industry really started back in 1875. It was the first company that offered a private pension program with American Express, which seems like an awful long time ago, but when you say it was only 150 years ago, we had our first private pension program. It shows how short of a period of time these programs have been offered. After American Express offered their programs, several other companies started to adopt them and introduce them, and it became a national concern. Starting in 1937, Under the New Deal, they passed the Social Security Act. The retirement industry really had a paradigm shift in '78 when they introduced the deferred compensation programs. Deferred compensation is like your normative 401k plan that you would see an employer offer. It's not going to be dissimilar to what we're talking about today as well. But bringing us into today's environment, presently we have about 625,000 active retirement plans across the United States. So in 150 years, we went from one retirement program to 625,000. And those 625,000 programs cover about 67 million employees across the United States, which is huge. That's an incredible advancement in a very short period of time. We introduced a program, and now 67 million employees across the United States now have retirement benefits. But there's a lot of room for improvement there. There's really two types of retirement programs. I touched on this briefly. There's a normally referred to as a pension program, a defined benefit program. And this is where we started in the United States. It's a situation where if you work for me for your entire career, I'll give you $50 a month for your life. These types of programs really have fallen off, and the industry is more focused on a defined contribution arrangement. That's what we're going to be talking about today. This is an auto IRA program. So the employee is going to define their contributions. They set the contribution amount, they choose to participate, and they control the retirement outcomes that are under these defined contribution arrangements. In our program, just a level set here at the onset of today's presentation, our program is designed as an auto enrollment program. So your employees that are covered will be automatically defaulted at a 3% savings rate. They can go in and choose that, but that is our default. Their contributions will be deposited into an IRA. We lead with a default of a Roth IRA. This is a situation where the money will go in after tax and accumulate after tax. So when it's distributed, presumably at retirement, they would get a tax-free distribution from the program. It'll also be invested in a mutual fund. So we have been working with an investment advisor in our investment committee to select default mutual funds for the participants. They can go in and adjust these, but our default is a target date fund offered by Vanguard. So a target date fund is a fund where it begins as a more aggressive fund and then becomes more conservative over the life of the employee or the participant, presuming that it's based off their date of birth. So as they get closer to retirement age, it becomes more conservative and less risky. Was there any questions about that before we slide over to the next slide? As I said, feel free to raise your hand, or you can put questions into the chat box as well. Some common visions of retirement are really defined by social media. That's where we pull all of our ideas from, social media and television. Any day you go on TV, you see retirees in commercials, and they're running around, they're participating in hobbies, activities, spending time with their family, traveling, going on vacation. This is what, as a society, we have been led to expect. Everybody wants to have this fulfilled retirement experience, but the reality of it is that we need to do these things. We need to be prepared to do these things. It just doesn't happen. And we look at the reality of the retirement landscape is, and as I said earlier, 67 million participants or employees are covered by a retirement program. However, if we look across the nation, 57 million are not. It leaves a 46% gap in coverage across the nation. These are individuals who do not have access to a private pension program. The question then becomes for us, how many people in New Jersey are really affected? How many people are not going to have that vision of retirement that we just spoke about? In New Jersey, we're the perfect cross-section of the United States. So whether you're in Montana or Colorado or one of these expansive states where there is not as much infrastructure as what we appreciate here in New Jersey, we're struggling with the same exact dynamic as the rest of the United States is from a percentage perspective. 57 million participants across the United States correlates to about 1.5 million employees here in the state of New Jersey, or 46% of our employees do not have access to a private pension program. And if you are fortunate enough to have one, many times it's taken for granted. The process that we appreciate for saving for retirement money being taken out of our paycheck, having a fiduciary work through the process of selecting investments, and building a mechanized process for that money to be taken from my check and deposited into an account and protected, is one that what most people don't realize is not appreciated by about half of our state. So these individuals have been experiencing an institutional disadvantage. The process of utilizing a federal program has really not been available to them. And to bring it to a relative idea for the audience today, 46%, or roughly half of your friends, family, children, brothers, sisters, neighbors do not have access to a retirement plan. This is a real inequity. This is a real gap in the availability of retirement for the citizens of New Jersey. And it's one that we really, really can't afford to have. Now, as we said earlier, there are federal programs that are out there, Social Security, and I caution myself not to do these things, but in the live audiences, I like to see people raise their hand. Let me see a sign of hands of everybody who's very confident that Social Security is going to give them a positive retirement outcome. And I never see the audience raise their hands. And this is not to beat up on Social Security. It's a good benefit that we have here in the United States, but it's good to understand what the benefit actually is. So here in New Jersey, studies have been done, and we have found that 23% of our retirees retire with Social Security being their sole mechanism for saving for retirement. This is the only money that they're getting. They get their check every month from the Social Security Administration, except when the government shut down, which we narrowly avoided the other week. And that's what they're expected to sustain on. So this 90% of our retirees, this is a statistic that we can't afford to maintain. This is a statistic that we really can't afford to maintain here in New Jersey. As we start to look forward to what that means to the New Jerseyans, I can get us, there we go. Social Security was really never intended to be our sole means for retirement savings. It's wonderful that they've done this for us. Social Security actually is very forthcoming. It was intended to replace about 40% of the retirement income of an individual going into retirement. So if we think how this would affect you and I, if we are heading into retirement, we had no other retirement savings, it would be essentially like reaching into your bank account or your wallet and pulling out 60% of the money and burning. Your buying power when you go into retirement on Social Security as your sole means is reduced by 60%. That's a hard reality to face, but that is a reality of 90% of our retirees here in New Jersey, or 23% of our retirees here in New Jersey. So this is a real problem for us in New Jersey, because that means that we're also going to have to find additional ways to support our retirees and make sure that they're taken care of. It's such a concern that 70% of Americans have also, in studies, have also expressed concerns about it. Do they save enough? How much do they need to save? And where do they even begin? These are challenges that are faced every day by 46% of the community across the United States, because they're not covered by private pension programs. We've been challenged to ask the question of, actually, if I could get you to move back to the previous slide, John. We've been asked to focus in on this question and try to find solutions to it. And the one that has consistently come out of multiple studies is that, and these are primarily from the retirement industry, that an individual is 15 times more likely to save for retirement if they have a tool to do that for them, if they have a program to participate in. So the individuals who are not covered by a program really are 15 times less likely to save for retirement because of their situation. They work for a small employer or an employer who just can't afford to, or chooses not to offer a retirement program. And there's a lot of reasons why we won't do that, why they would not do that. So the process is really what affects the outcome of an individual's retirement here in the state of New Jersey. Our mission, and Joanna, if I can get us, there we go. Our mission here with RetireReady is to address this retirement savings gap. So we were challenged with the duty of developing an easy, affordable, reliable means for individuals to save for retirement when their employers do not have a private pension program. We're really doing this by identifying and addressing the obstacles inhibiting people from saving for retirement. We boil this down to 3 points. The 3 points being planning, saving, and investing. These are huge questions. The first one is planning, and I know from experience that this is the obstacle that inhibits most people from saving. Saving for retirement or planning to save for retirement, where do you even begin? What does retirement look like? How much money do I need to save? How do I start the process? It's a frustrating endeavor. Individuals are not really trained to do this. And if we think about individuals who will be covered by our program, most of them don't work in the financial services industry. Not to equate everybody to a construction worker, but if you told me I had to build my own house and you laid out a big pile of wood, some nails, some shingles, and several other products, and you said, hey, Todd, build your house or live outside, I die of exposure. And I would argue that's going to happen very quickly because this is not what I do. But this is what we're asking individuals who do not or are not covered by a retirement program to do. Yes, they can go out and they can open up their own IRA, they can do these things, but we're asking them to do something that they may not be equipped to do. And as we said earlier, are 15 times more likely not to do if they don't have the resources available. The next obstacle is if they do come up with a plan to save for retirement, it is the savings process. if you're in an IRA or a 401k program and you're saving for retirement, that money is deducted from your paycheck. That money is transferred over. That money is then deposited at the trustee. That reliable vehicle to get the money from the paycheck to the program is invaluable. It has more to do with the outcome of a retirement plan than the share class of investment that they're put into. And that's a proven statistic for us. So eliminating that obstacle, and that obstacle can be simple. It can be, hey, I have $20 at the end of the week that I had planned to put into retirement, but you know what? I would rather go out and enjoy some luxury. I'd rather go to a movie. I'd rather go. And these are decisions individuals have to face. And unfortunately, it's very often an obstacle. Even if they choose to deposit the money, then they have to take the money somewhere and deposit it, which is a specific action. So one of the elements of our program is an automated process, the process where it's going to come right out of the check and to be deposited directly into the trust for the employee. And then the last is the investment. Even if they come up with a plan to get money out of their hands and into the trust, they have to invest. And what's the appropriate investment? How do I choose? If you're not familiar with the process, you could be buying an investment that has high fees. You could be buying a poorly contrived investment for your investment goals. So understanding the investment needs of the community, making sure that they're monitored prudently, making sure that somebody has their finger on the pulse, that's an important element. It's a scary element for the average person, for somebody who is just trying to get through the process on their own. These three are the main contributors to where most people stop. They give up. They either don't have a plan, they can't get the money out of their hand to deposit it, or they can't choose an investment and they give up on their investment goals. Which is why we are in the process of implementing RetireReady for the employees of New Jersey and the employers of New Jersey. The question that many of you are going to be asking today is, who is covered? So what does this mean to me? And I know that's the first thing everybody wants to know is, how is this affecting me? So our program is designed to cover a very specific group of employers. If you're registered to do business in New Jersey, you're covered by our program, provided that you do not currently offer a retirement program. So if you offer a retirement program, you already have one. You don't need us. If you have 25 or more employees, you'll be covered. So these are all ands. And questions. You're registered to do business in New Jersey. You work, or you currently do not offer a retirement program. You have 25 or more employees, and you've been in business for at least 2 years. You will need to register with RetireReady New Jersey. This process is done ultimately through our website. You would go out to RetireReady New Jersey. Presently, we are only in our pilot phase. So if you go out here, you'll be able to, or if you go to social media, you'll be able to actually follow along and see how the process is going. We will be posting videos as well to walk you through the registration process. But the good news is that the process is going to be relatively easy. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from the other states who are using the same service. If you work with a payroll vendor as an employer, typically they do much of this work for you as far as pulling the deductions out. In some cases, the payroll vendors are actually doing a full process where they're collecting all the information, making the deposits and so forth. If you're doing it on your own, like I said, this is going to be a pretty simple process, and we're going to talk about that in a moment here. As we move into the next slide, if there are questions, once again, feel free to to raise your hand. I'll be happy to answer them along the way. In this slide here, we're going to talk a little bit about the responsibility of the employers. I think the most important thing for you to know is what you're not going to be expected to do. If you've ever worked on a retirement program, and I believe I worked on these from every angle here in this industry, it's important to know in this circumstance what you're not going to be doing. So you're not going to be administering this program. You're not going to be interacting with the employees about it. If they have questions, if they want to stop their deduction, if they want to change their deduction, if they want to change their investment, this is not your work. You have a job, you have a business. We want you to be focused on your mission, not ours. So you'll be directing your participants over to us for administration. So if there are things that need to happen, they will need to contact us to coordinate and make those transactions occur. So that's good news for the employer. You are not going to need to do anything. You're not going to need to make a matching contribution. So if you've had a 401k previously, typically they have some sort of employer contribution, employer participation. You're not going to be able to do that. In fact, the current legislation at the federal level does not allow the employers to contribute to an IRA on behalf of the employees. So that's not going to be a problem for you either. The most important, having been an investigator for the Department of Labor, you're not a fiduciary. We're the fiduciary of this program. If something goes wrong, if there is a transaction that goes awry, that's our responsibility. You don't need to worry about that. If we need to change the investments, if we are monitoring the investments, they need to be changed. That's our responsibility. This is not going to be additional work on your part. All of this is done by the state of New Jersey, by RetireReady New Jersey. So these are all things that you don't have to worry about. You are not on the hook for. If you are taking the deductions from the paychecks and depositing them over into the employees' accounts or into the trust, the only real thing that you as an employer have to worry about is seeing your employees retire at some point. And fortunately, they get to retire with dignity. They're not retiring just on Social Security. They'll have a retirement account that is protected by the federal government as well. So this allows you to focus on your business, not on our mission. The good news that comes along with this is the employer benefits. Although you're not going to be responsible for much of the work here, you do have the benefits of the program. To begin with, it's of no cost to you. You're not going to hire an investment advisor. You're not going to hire an attorney. You're not going to have to worry about a Department of Labor investigator showing up and saying, hey, let me see all your books and records. There's no cost to you from that perspective. This is a state-run program that you are covered by. So you will need to participate in if you meet the qualifications that we talked about earlier. But we are not asking you to contribute to the program in any way. It's going to have very little administrative demand. Our contributions will be deducted from the employee's paycheck as an after-tax contribution. So if your employees are participating in the program, the deductions will come after tax, and they'll be transferred over to us just like any other compulsory benefit program, Social Security, unemployment, and so forth. It's a very easily integrated workflow into your current payroll process. Coming from the human resources industry, I will say that it does bring substantial benefit to the employers here in New Jersey. I can walk down any street here in New Jersey. We're situated in Trenton, but it seems everywhere I go, I see signs out that we're hiring. I saw them on the back of a tractor trailer the other day. It was amazing that everyone is hiring. They're looking for talent. And, the big box chains, and I'm not beating up on them either, they have resources. I can say even from my prior career, I've seen the trade industry struggle because individuals went to a big box chain organization and they view them as a competitor. They say you can't draw on your retirement because you're still in the industry. And that's because they're drawing from the available employees in the state of New Jersey. And the small employer has really been put at a disadvantage. How do you compete with an organization? You might not be capable of offering a retirement program. They are being offered retirement, the employees are being offered retirement programs through these larger organizations. RetireReady levels that playing field. While you're not sponsoring the program, it is a program that allows you to let employees save for retirement at little to no expense to you, other than your payroll process. So employees will be able to save for retirement. You will be able to promote that as a benefit working there. In fact, we have window clings that we will be sending out to employers to let them showcase, hey, we are a retire-ready employer. You will be able to save for retirement through us. This is all part of the process of helping not only the employees of New Jersey, but the small employers of New Jersey level that playing field and be able to help the citizens of New Jersey prepare for a dignified retirement. The most important benefit, I said it earlier, and I could really say it on every slide here, is as a retire-ready covered employer, you're not a fiduciary. This is key. I can't tell you how many times as an investigator for EBSA, I would go out and I would talk to the plan sponsors of their 401ks and say, hey, you are a fiduciary of this program. You're responsible. And while your industry, whatever your mission is, whatever your business does, there's a pretty low likelihood that you're equipped to understand all of the nuances of being a fiduciary. The financial responsibility of running these programs and these accounts. And when things go wrong, that's where the problem lies. In this instance, we are the fiduciary. Like I said, it is not your responsibility to run this program. It's your responsibility to take the deductions as directed by the program and the employees so that the employees have the right to save under RetireReady. If something goes wrong, if there's a problem, if investments need to be monitored and changed, if regulations need to be adapted for changes in policy, that's our responsibility, not yours. And with that, we would expect that the employers would direct the employees to RetireReady to get those questions answered or any concerns addressed. So, looking at what this means for you, we put together an action check sheet, and right now it's a lot of monitoring. There's not much that you're going to need to do until June. But what I do want to bring to your attention is some of the things that you can be doing and what you will need to do in the future. Right now, you can monitor on our website at RetireReady.nj.gov. In the future, you'll need to go out to the employer page here and actually register your organization. You'll be receiving letters in June. They'll actually mail out June 30th with information leading you to this. It'll also give you instructions. We'll be posting some videos as well to help illustrate the registration process. It's a pretty straightforward workflow. I think you'll be a little underwhelmed with what you need to do. What that will require you to do is once you're on our site and registering, you'll need to upload your employee information. We'll be responsible for that information, and it will cause us to have to do a couple different things. As we get your employees' information, we'll be reaching out to contact them. If I can get you to move over to the next slide, John. There we go. We'll be reaching out to contact your employees. Your employees, once you upload their information, they'll have 30 days to make some options. The first is maintain the default elections. Our default elections is a 3% contribution rate with target date funds that will be managed by Vanguard, and their money will be deposited into a Roth IRA. Very straightforward. They can customize. They can change their contribution rates either to dollars or percentages. The investments, we will completely maintain that in-house, but they can customize their investment. We have a robust investment lineup within our portfolio, and they can even choose to switch to a traditional IRA, which will offer them pre-tax. You'll continue to take this as an after-tax contribution, though. Or they can elect to opt out altogether. All of that will be administered through us. You will not have to take this information. You're not going to have to collect and maintain forms. That's not your responsibility. That's our responsibility. In fact, we would ask that you not do that, because of if something goes wrong, then I would have to come to you and ask, why'd you do that way? After the 30-day opt-out period is over, we will be sending you reports, letting you know one of your employees or all of your employees are participating in the program. It's going to tell you their contribution rates and what you will need to do to transmit that money over. From there, those reports will be given to you. You'll have to update your payroll and submit the deductions to us. And as you're submitting your deductions, if you have a new employee, we'd ask that you update their information onto our program as well. We want them to have a right to save. More importantly, though, is what this means for you. Pardon me. I love to see the flowers blooming. Oh, I'm sorry, Joanna, if you could go back one slide. But unfortunately, I am suffering from allergies today. What this means to you. So keeping your employees' information updated is critical for you. While in the industry, I've done studies. I participated in studies where we found that individuals are 80% more likely to leave an organization when they're not participating in programs. So if you are a retire-ready employer, you're covered by our program, the sooner you get the employee's information in, the more likely they will be to participate in it. And if they're participating in it, this is yet one more thing that you're offering to them, is one less risk that they have to worry about. And it generally creates a longer longevity of the employment for that employee. So it's something to consider. If you have a new hire, please get them in as quickly as possible. And as we progress forward, we'll be sharing these types of statistics. We like to see them on our systems. Anything we can do to help the employer community. What you'll need to expect over the next couple of months is really the launch of the program. So the first thing I would ask is you go out, you link us on social media, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or LinkedIn. You can link to us on social media. You'll be able to track the progress of the program. We will be videoing some of the pilot, which will be launching here in May. There are several pilot employers that have been selected. What we're going to be looking to do is actually meet with them and document their experience. This is valuable for us for functionality, but it's also valuable for you. So understanding the process Understanding how easy it is going to make it easier for you to adapt to the change as well, but you'll get some firsthand experience with that online. Secondly is the full program launch. Full program launch will be occurring here in June of 2024, June 30th. All of the notifications will be going out to the covered employers of New Jersey. We've been working diligently with our counterparts in the Department of Labor to develop reporting. We are relying on their information presently to get in contact with you to mail out your registration communications, which will also include a PIN number. When you get that, you can either self-service and log on, or there will be contact information for our service provider, Vestwell. Additionally, we'd ask you to stay tuned on our website. Our website is evolving all the time. We have new pages coming up. It seems almost daily. So I know one's coming up here shortly for the savers, where they're going to be able to go in and see the investment portfolios that are available out there. And as these new things are announced, we generally hold them on that green bar there at the top. So if you look to the right, you'll see that we have some webinars. You're welcome to attend. It's going to be similar to the one that we're giving today, but we would encourage you to stay tuned out here. Additionally, I would also ask that you contact your payroll vendors in the interim. That's something that you can do now. Find out if they're familiar with the program. If they're not, it's a good way to encourage them to engage us. There are communication channels through the website. And Joanna, if you could just click on there, you can show them where there we go, where they can contact us here. And they can submit their information, and we can help give them access to resources to help them prepare for this change. What we would like to make sure is that all the employers in New Jersey are aware of the change and prepared for it. We do not want this to be an unexpected or a stressful period for you. With that, that does bring me to the end of the presentation material. And I'd like to open it up for questions. If anybody has questions, they can raise their hand or submit them via chat, whatever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so I have our first one here. Joanna, can you bring that question up? I don't know if you can read it or not.
Sure. It says, let me just pull them up. It says, how will contributions made through this plan affect their ability to contribute to IRAs outside of this plan?
Sure. So if you have your own IRA, you are welcome to maintain your own IRA and opt out, or you could actually maintain two of them. This would be a decision that you would want to work through personally. In some instances, people are very connected to their service providers and they want to retain them. That's perfectly fine. Hey, our mission is really to create awareness and get people in New Jersey saving for retirement and be prepared for retirement. So if you have a program, feel free to continue with the program that you're utilizing. If you have a program, but hey, it's a lot of work and I would rather do it through a weekly or biweekly payroll process, you're welcome to utilize our program. So you would not be opting out in that instance. Additionally, it would even be available for you to roll your assets in. So if you have 401ks spread across the land, and I am this guy, I really need to take care of this personally. If you work for multiple employers and you're now covered by RetireReady New Jersey, and you would like to consolidate those positions, you could bring them all under. So if you have an IRA, you want to roll it in, you can definitely do that if this is an easier process for you. If you want to maintain your existing process with your relationship with your existing service provider, that's fine as well. So it's really up to you. What we would ask is when you receive your notification from us, if you want to stay with your current provider, you just need to opt out with us so that we have record of it.
There is also a question here that says, is there an option to change our employees' deductions or opt out for them, or will that have to be done by the employee only?
We would ask that it be done by the employee only. And the reason that we ask that is that, as I said earlier, you are not the plan administrator. If you do that, if you make that decision to accept that deduction change, if something goes wrong, if there's a misunderstanding, then we will need to come back to you and say, or we would need to come back to you and say, why did you turn off their deduction? And then we'd have to see records of it. These types of situations can become very convoluted. There is a staff of service providers at our program administrator's office, both over the phone and online, who are equipped to deal with this. We would ask you to focus on your administrative process of running your business with these types of changes. Have them contact RetireReady New Jersey. We'll get those deductions done and we'll communicate them out to you, so that way there is no misunderstandings in the future.
Another question is, as a young professional, why is it important to learn about retirement?
That's a great question. So as a young professional, as a young person, every dollar that you contribute into a retirement plan has the value of time for investing. So if you needed $500,000 to retire comfortably, and you start at age 50, that means in 10 years, each year you need to save $100,000 because you're going to have very little time for that money to compound for retirement. Where if you begin saving at a younger age, the influence of the market has a greater compounding factor on that dollar. So a contribution, and this is even in testing for program testing for private pension programs, you can actually make a heavier weighted contribution to individuals of greater age, because that contribution means less than to someone of a younger age. So at a younger age, you can contribute less, you get the benefit of compounding, and it allows you to spread that expense over the greatest period of time, assuring that you have the most comfortable retirement or successful retirement plan.
There is another question. Do you think it is more important to have multiple investment plans or invest into one retirement plan?
That's an opinionated question. I came up through with the benefit of working with individuals in the industry who were focused on low-cost investing. And it is a priority here for RetireReady. Our goal is to make this as economically feasible as possible. So we're constantly looking for ways to save money in the program. With that in mind, if you have multiple service providers, you have varying rates of expense, and sometimes there are fixed rates to administer the accounts. So maybe you're paying $20 per account across 4 different vendors. Well, that's $80, where you could be paying a set rate here with RetireReady. So having multiple accounts can generate more expense. It also limits your ability to get into more preferred investments in some cases. There are differing share classes of investments that are out there. So you may be in a investment, but it's an investor grade, which has a higher expense ratio, where if you had all your money consolidated, you would be able to invest in an institutional grade or a preferred grade of investment, which has lower expenses associated with it. So it really comes down to costing. The other risks are also keeping track of your money. At the Department of Labor, I focused heavily on missing participants and abandoned accounts. And it's not uncommon that people forget. People forget that they had 5 different accounts out there. And I will admit that I have money across multiple retirement plans, so I have to get them consolidated on my own. But what happens is if that service provider can't find you, there's a lot of different ways that they can deal with that issue. In some instances, it can ultimately end up with the state as abandoned property. And at that point, it's not making you any money. It's not invested. It's sitting in a flat account. So if you have $50,000 in that account, it may only be worth $50,000 20 years from now, which still sounds like a lot of money. But if you simply look at what a car cost in 1970, and I'm sadly 50 years old. So if you look at what a car cost in the 70s, you could buy a brand new car for $2,000-$3,000. If you bought a $2,000-$3,000 car today, you're not getting a brand new car. You're getting something that is pretty used and probably has a lot of mileage on it. So you will lose there's a chance that you could lose the benefit of investing if you ever get disassociated from that money.
There is a question asking if we have informational posters or bulletin to post because some of their employees are not really into computers and don't know how to use the QR codes.
So presently we have rack cards that we will be handing out. We also have Q&A cards that are going out. This is something that we're looking into developing specifically for employers to hang by their time cards or on their bulletin boards. We do have some material that is out there, but we are in the process of producing a document that will be specifically for the employers to have, that is a quick sheet for the employees to access going forward. So I would say stay tuned on the employer page and on social media. You will see that popping up.
What is the maximum amount that an employee can contribute in 1 year?
Sure. So the maximum amount of contribution, and I'm going to be general with this because I actually don't have the regulation up here in front of me. It's roughly $6,500 if memory serves me. I don't have the IRS reg up there. We will be monitoring that through our service provider. So because these are after-tax contributions that will be going in, you will not be pulling out pre-tax as an employer. If an employee reaches their limit, we will be working with them to return that money to them. I apologize, I don't have that exact amount on hand, and if somebody on my team can look up the IRA limits while we're on the presentation here, that would be greatly appreciated. Oh, actually, it just popped up here. So thank you, Chuck, for posting that up here. Deduction limits. Are actually posted out there on the chat board. and it was 6,500 for 2023. And they have not posted their new limits for this year with an extra $1,000 if you're over the age of 50. So it appears I would be able to save an extra $1,000 this year.
It looks like that's all the questions we have, unless there are any more.
So if you do have additional questions, or maybe you don't feel comfortable posting them up here, feel free to reach out. We are very excited to hear from the community, the employer community on this. Any questions or concerns are definitely welcome and appreciated. It's going to all contribute to make the program better and help service you and your employees better. So we definitely welcome them and encourage them. You can go to our website to contact us, and they can even be submitted through there as well.
Well,
At this point, unless there are
Todd,
additional questions.
thank you so very much for taking the time this morning to give us such an informative webinar. And everyone, thank you for taking the time and spending the hour with us. Again, as a friendly reminder, this will be sent out to all of you by this afternoon. And Todd, if you don't have anything else, we'd like to wish everyone a great afternoon. It's nice and sunny out, and a great rest of your week.
You have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.